It happened 1 year ago today. A community laid a fallen soldier to rest. Army Specialist Antonio Moore had died in a rollover crash on his first deployment in Syria. Days earlier, crowds gathered in the streets, on the sidewalks, waving American flags of all sizes as a procession carried Antonio's casket from the airport to the funeral home. Tonight, for the first time, we hear from Antonio's parents on just how much that support from strangers meant to a grieving family.
That is the plane carrying Specialist Antonio Moore.
I never thought that he would be coming home now, you know, because he was just so, he was happy when he was getting ready to be deployed. He was telling everybody, he was knocking on neighbors' doors that's actually served. He was going, he was like, I'm going for my country, I'm going.
On a cold, gray February day, Army Specialist Antonio Moore came home, making that final trip 8 days after losing his life in a rollover crash in Syria, 3 months after giving his mom a final hug on the eve of his first deployment.
We embraced, and I told him that I loved him, I was proud of him. And he was like, Mom, stand tall, it's okay.
Crystal Vereen tried to stand tall, but the emotions poured out in grief over losing her son. She would soon, though, feel the warmth of an entire community's support. A procession escorted the casket to the funeral home. Riding in a bus behind the hearse,
See this right here? Y'all see this right? Antonio, do you see this right here?
Tony's family would come upon streets lined with strangers.
Thank you, guys.
Parting a sea of waving American flags.
Gosh, it was just lines of people, from old to young, from babies being in cabbages waving flags, from other military veterans, you know, saluting. Actually, I had to stop crying at that point. And we all just sat there quiet, just looking out, and through the tears, I had to smile and say, wow. We all kept saying, wow.
This is so overwhelming.
I just wanted to stop, just to want to hug everybody. It was like, thank you, even though you don't know him, you're here, you know, you welcoming him home.
You made the whole city stand still.
The crowds and flags grew larger as the procession wound its way past Tony's alma mater, Hoggard High School. On this day, all races and ages came together as one community to honor a life lost in service to country.
He brought this town together.
They didn't even know him.
And it's wasn't us. They came to rally around us, but they were there for him. And that speaks to who he was.
Under sunny skies 3 days later, strangers again lined the streets as Specialist Antonio Moore went to his final resting place.
Fire! Ready! Aim! Fire! Present! Art!
Tony, you are a real hero. Thank you for your service. We always gonna keep these, and we always gonna smile about it.
The support has not stopped in the year since Tony's death. Posters and messages have come in from young ones, keepsakes and mementos from fellow veterans. Tony is never far away.
Just knowing that he had it on, and that's his name. He'll never get a chance to wear it again, but we got it. We got it.
Crystal and Will say the days have not gotten any easier. They've just learned to live with the loss. They are fortified with the strength they received from strangers who showed up on a cold, gray afternoon, and they are searching for ways to thank each and every one of them.
They will never know how much it helped a mom, a dad, grandparents. into one of the worst days we ever experienced in our life. They would never know how much it meant. And I just keep leading back to just thank you. Thank you for helping this family just rise up. To make it feel like we wasn't alone. It made me feel like we all was in this together.
Friend, I asked Crystal, during those processions, what stands out? What images she still carries? And she said on the day of the funeral, when they were going to the gravesite, the procession stopped in front of New Hanover Regional Medical Center. She looked over. There was an elderly gentleman in a wheelchair. She said he had to be in his 80s and his 90s. Gentleman got up, saluted, and sat back down again. Anybody who turned out at either one of those days, if you questioned whether your support mattered, there's your answer.
And you know, John, when I look at the story that you just told today, and I think back a year ago when we covered the procession, I just remember thinking then and even now that what we saw that day is what America is. Mm-hmm. It truly represents what America is. And on that day, it didn't matter if you were black or white.
Right.
Your political party didn't matter. Mm-hmm. The only thing that mattered was that you were paying tribute to someone who served and died for this country. And all I can do, John, is hope that on that day, and even now, that Specialist Antonio Moore is looking down and saying, well, I guess I served my country well.
Yeah, and his parents again said, and I've been here almost 30 years, you grew up here. Will, who has spent his entire life here, said he could never remember a day with the community turning out like that, like we saw that day. They kept saying thank you isn't enough, but we hope that everybody who turned out does get the thank you from Antonio Moore's parents.